Looks like we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Military Mondays. If you and I don't know each other, please reach out to me via private message below. I would love to connect with you. I am a retired Air Force major, 27 years in the Air Force, and today my husband and I were the co-owners of Life's Real Currency, and we are your client engagement strategists. So we help you retain those clients so they don't end up out the back door to the competition. So with that, every single Monday morning, I bring you a new episode of Military Mondays, and I like to highlight veteran business owners, or maybe you're still serving and you have a business, reach out to me, or if you're the spouse. Let's have a conversation and see if you're a good fit for my Military Mondays. And there is a link in the comments or in the post of how you can get a hold of me and register yourself to potentially be on the show. But without further ado, I have an amazing couple with me today. I was talking to Sheila over the last few weeks. We're in a networking group together, and I found out that her and her husband served joint spouse. Well, that is quite the task, because some of you may or may not know, my first husband, we were both military, and that brings its own challenges. So thank you, Sheila and Reese, for being on today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome. So let's start out with where this all started, in the military and as a joint spouse. What did both of you do, and how did you make it? I think, Sheila, you said 21 years. Is that what it was? And Reese was what, 25? Did I remember that?
No, I completed 21.
Yeah.
It was 21 years.
So
And I did 20 and 21.
20 and 21 years. So how the heck did you manage that long of a career as joint spouse?
Yeah, that's a good question. We were both in the same career field under the logistics umbrella, traffic management, or TMO. If you're in Air Force, you know what that means. And we actually met about halfway through our career. We were both instructors at Lackland, a job that we both really enjoyed. And we got married, and then I took a special assignment to Germany outside my career field, but they had a position for him. And then even coming back to the U.S., I took a special assignment, and they had a slot for him here at Lackland. And to ensure that we stayed together, Reese took an extension. That's why he went to like 21 and a half years. But the challenge was deployments. It's, when you're joint spouse, you're going to go at the same time or you're going to go at different times. We didn't have any kids, so we didn't have that need of maybe going separately, so there's somebody here with the kids. So we would deploy at the same time if we could. And that was actually towards the end of our career that we did that, because he had to fill an Army billet. So that meant he was gone for 15 plus months.
Wow.
So he did that in Afghanistan, and I decided at the same time, I'm going to take my head and go to Iraq for 6 months, so I don't have to do mine when he returns. So that was difficult. It was challenging. We made it work. That's what you do in the military. You take what you have, you make the best of it, and you make it work. And well, success story, we're still here, and we're thankful, and we're blessed to have done that and retired.
Right.
And I was going to say, and you're still married through all of that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
All
through all of it.
Yeah, I mean, the essential thing is that we planned for all the steps that we took during our military career. Everything was, we looked at the future and we planned ahead to make sure we were going to be together. We're going to have the same assignments, where we're going to be deployed together, things like that. And when it came to retirement, we also did that adjustment in order to both retire and stay in the same location. That's really difficult to do while you're in the military. And if you decide to allow the Air Force to manage that for you, you know the consequences of that. Generally, you end up in one end of the world and the other person in the other end. And that doesn't work very well for military capitalists because, again, that creates conflict and many other different things. So it is really rare that military couple actually be able to stay together for many, many years and retire and stay together after, after retirement, and, you know, create a business like we are working now.
Awesome. So I have a question for you before we get to what you're doing today, because you said it takes planning and don't let the Air Force make the plan for you. So
Right.
those that might be watching that are joint spouse, how did you take that into your own hands? What steps did you take that?
Right. I mean, there's limited things we can do, obviously. If the Air Force decide to do it anyway, that's all we can do. But you can create the situation or make arrangements with the military deployments or
Well, you're talking about deploying together?
well, the deployments and the assignments.
Right.
You know, the assignments, you apply to certain assignments, like in her case, she was she knew that we were not going to be assigned on the same location because limited amount of billets in that location. So one of us needed to either take a special assignment or something like that. And we were applying to those special assignments at the same time. We were applying for a special duty assignments and things like that. So that helped us manage our career, basically.
Knowing what your options are, ask the questions, know what your options are, and make an educated decision. And we even took that into preparation for retirement. Even though we're not really utilizing our degrees before we retired, we knew we not only wanted our bachelor's, but we wanted our master's degree and take advantage of the Air Force helping to pay for that. So we had to plan that out to make sure that was complete by the time we retired, planning our retirement around 20 years, at least, you know, minimum 20, of course, so you can get all your benefits. So it was planning for that and planning. If we don't find a job right away, how do we pay our bills? You got to have a substantial amount of savings in place, you know, before maybe your retirement doesn't kick in right away or disability. So it's always looking ahead to the future, planning the what ifs, and then making those educated decisions. Even though we wanted to work for ourselves, that didn't happen for a few years.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, so I didn't hear you say this, but I'm betting part of, and maybe I'm betting bad, but I would bet that part of that joint spouse and being able together was building relationships and reaching out to the base and people there at the base and at the personnel center and the deployment folks to say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Because when you build that relationship and you build good relationships, they tend to honor what you want as best as possible. Obviously, the Air Force mission or the military mission, whatever branch of the service the couple is in, always comes first.
Correct.
But it's been,
Correct.
it's been my experience that when you build those relationships, they tend to, like when you're talking to them constantly, they're like, let me see, I want to help Sheila and Reese out. And they do what they can to juggle things around so that you can be together. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the aspects that we have to consider when we plan our career. The other thing is, don't get into conflict with people. If somebody doesn't like you, you're not going to get that job, regardless of what you do. So if you get good relationships, you develop a good working relationship with many people, people will see that and they say, you know, this is a good guy, they will work good in this position, we can move in there. And if you develop that kind of relationship over the years, that will help you at the end. When you start asking for favors or maybe a position in certain locations. No, you pay your dues. This is not, we don't do things or nobody does anything for free. I mean, you pay dues, like for instance, Okay, you want this position, well, there's this deployment you need to do. Okay, well, as long I can do that, and then I come back and get what I'm looking for, that works. If that works, why not? Don't be afraid. I mean, some people don't want to get deployed. Some people don't want to go to the worst places. Hey, that's part of the military. That's what we did.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you both talked about planning. And you happen to have a cruise planners
Yes.
franchise. So you help people actually plan. So you take the stress out of their travels by helping them plan it. So tell us a little bit about why. So I think, Sheila, when you and I were talking, you started this right after the service, right? Or right around the time that you retired. There wasn't something else in between, right?
Well, there was a little bit, because we just hadn't really found what we really want to do just yet, even though we knew we wanted to work for ourselves. Reese did work for the government for a while for the VA, helping them with contracts and things in Austin. But after a while, I was like, this is not really what we want to do. What is that? So we sat down one day and, okay, let's purchase a franchise. Well, which one? So I gave him 3 criteria in his search because he's really, really good at research. His prior supervisors will tell you that. Said something we can work from home, at least as an option, something that's going to be fun, and something we can purchase outright and not go into debt right away. And in his research, we found cruise planners. And all the further research, we found like it's a really good franchise to purchase. And it's been a really good fit for us since. So that's, once again, planning and doing your research to make sure you think that's going to be a good fit for you.
I was going to say, there's definitely a thread here. Planning,
Yeah.
planning.
Right, exactly. And it works. It worked for us. I mean, some people are lucky, they just get out and pick whatever outside and become successful. In our case, we have to plan in order to achieve that. Obviously, everything that takes time. Nothing is given to you. You have to work for it and put an effort. That's the most important thing. Put a big effort to achieve what you wanted to achieve. In our case, it took some time to develop the clientele. Like any business, you have to develop your clientele. You have to put the word out. People need to recognize you because the majority of our clients are referrals and recommendations, and we don't get a lot of people walking into our business. Most of our business is based on referrals, and in order to get referrals, you need to do a good job. Because nobody's going to refer somebody that you keep messing up. So that is really extremely important, and you have to be realistic on your expectations on the job. In our case, because we are retired military, that's a plus because we don't need necessarily to survive out of this business initially, because we can survive a little bit with our benefits that we have, but in the long run, our plan is to expand and to grow, and we are, and to the point that we have 3 agents working under our agency, and we can relax a little bit. Now, the pandemic has created a tremendous problems for travel business anywhere in the world, but we see the light coming in the next month. I mean, the next few months, and also next year. This is going to go away. This is not forever, and then we expect the travel business to come back.
Probably with a vengeance. Like
yes,
everybody is.
Well, we already seen that. People are calling us that say, I want to go anywhere. I don't care where. I'm like, okay. And people are saved the money, and they're willing to stay even extra weeks on location. It's like, oh, I want to go. Now, I mean, we can talk some more about where the people wanted to go, but this is in a sense what is going on right
And I think one of the skill sets that we learned in the military, planning, but also being in logistics has really helped with what we're doing right now, because we help people realize options that don't really have for travel and the experiences that they can have. So we can give them other options that they may not even realize and try to stay within their budget. So the skill sets that we learned in the military just really played well into what we're doing now, which is,
Yeah,
you can't put a price on that.
Yeah, in our life experience, obviously, our life experience contributed to where we at on this business, because we lived in Europe. Many in the military had the opportunity to travel as well, so being in many places and all the locations. So we lived in Europe for about eight years or so.
Total.
So we had the opportunity to actually experience a little bit of the lifestyle in Europe. And now that we know certain things, we can share that with our clients. They'd never traveled before or never done anything like this.
So
Yeah.
I have a quick question for you, because many people, and I happen to know the answer to this, but many people hear cruise planners and they think all you do is cruises.
Yes.
But that's not the case. You were just talking
No.
about Europe, and that you can plan a trip anywhere. It doesn't even have to include a cruise. So let's make sure the viewers know that
Yes.
just because it's called cruise planners doesn't mean
Right.
just
That's just the name of the franchise, right? But we do all land and cruise vacations, all modes of transportation all over the world. And an amazing trip would be taking a train trip across the Canadian Rockies. How amazing would that be? Do it in conjunction with a cruise in Alaska. You're right there. We have a family doing Adventure by Disney, but they're going to the national parks here in the United States. That's an amazing trip by itself. So there's a lot here you can do in the US by different modes, all over the world that you can by different modes of transportation. And some people do like to combine the land and cruise, especially if you're going to go overseas. At least stay a couple of weeks to get your money's worth, and you just get to see so much more. So yes, we plan all vacations, whatever anybody wants to do, whether it be a la carte, they want us to piece it together for them, or do something that a vendor already has put together, and you're with a group and you go do this or that. We can do that as well.
Right. We put together packages, and we also can customize your travel needs. Some people that just don't like to be in a group of people and go on a bus with 40 people and do exactly everything there's already pre-planned for you. Some people are not like that. Some people are more, well, I want to be able to have the freedom to do this or the other. And we can do that as well. We can put you in a train. We buy you your tickets, or the airplane tickets. We'll put you in a hotel near locations that you want it to be near. We'll give you advice, we'll give you guides, and things like that, and how to navigate through all that. So the most important thing is that the name cruise planners, that was also a little bit, didn't give us, at the beginning, we thought the same thing. When we started with the business, we thought, oh, we just do cruises. But in reality, we'll learn over time. And when we start learning about business itself, is no, we are actually a full service travel agency that does every business. The only issue is the name kind of mislead a little bit, but that's how we're trying to explain to our clients what we do.
awesome. So the other question that most people have, or I've run into, is with cruise planners or other travel agencies, but specifically with cruise planners, with you, there's no extra cost to hire you, right? It's all built in. Everything's built into the cost of the air and sea and land and all of that travel. Cruise planners pays you a percentage of what the cost of the actual trip is. So you're not adding any fees on top of the trip. So whether they planned it themselves and did all the
Right.
work themselves online, because I was one of those people, where I'd go on and try to find the best deal because I
Mhm.
didn't want to pay somebody. I'm really not, I'm paying you only because I'm buying the trip and the commissions come to you versus
Right. So
somebody else.
yeah, we do get paid by the vendors by commission, you're right. And keep in mind, if people say they might save money if they don't go through a travel agency, our commission is built into the price from the beginning. So is the vendor gonna get the commission, or is a small business
Right.
such as ours gonna get that commission? And we work for you and they pay us. And we want you to be satisfied because we need you to return. We need your review. We need your referral. So we work for you and they pay us. And that's just a win-win for our clients. And we hope that, you know, the trip goes as smoothly as possible, no hiccups. But what if there is? Then you have us and our expertise and our resources from our home office as well on fixing whatever that hiccup may be for you. So you're not the one on the phone trying to take care of that before the trip, during the trip, after the trip. So we're your advocate.
Correct. We just don't just book travel for people. We do a lot more than that. We are in touch with you while you're traveling, even when you return from your travel. So we wanted to make sure you had a great trip, you enjoyed the trip. Is this something that we need to do in order to improve your trip the next time? And things like that. Because a person that feels that somebody has their back in a situation like being in Europe, somebody lost their luggage in one airport or lost their connection, and they needed to be a certain day, a certain time, and they don't know who do I call and what to do. Do my travel insurance covers for all this? I don't know. So that's what we can contact us, and we have calls from places all over the world, people trying to reach us for us to take care of the issue so they can continue their travel. And we've done that in many occasions. We hope that nothing happens in that travel with the planning if we plan appropriately. But there are certain things that even with planning, you cannot avoid. You know, weather situations or connections, or if the airplane breaks down and it need to be replaced. And so that causes a delay for your trip. All those things are possible situations. But if you pre-plan enough, we can avoid many of those issues.
So
And that's where we come in.
So you save people time
Yes.
and headaches.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, many people don't know a lot of things. If you never traveled to a specific location before, what to expect? I don't know. Do I need a visa? Do I need a passport? What's going to happen if I travel with my kids? And what happens if I have one of my kids that has a different father? Can I travel with him? I mean, things like that people don't think about when they're going on a trip. They find out when they are at the airport. They're like, oops, I don't have that. What do I do? And this is what we come in. We gave them that information, and this is free of charge. This is information, and in addition to that, we prepare the traveler for their trip, and we think ahead of any possible situations that they might incur, they may happen on their trip, and we try to pre-plan it and avoid it for them. And this is absolutely free, no extra charge. Now, some people may think, well, if it's incorporated in the price, perhaps the price is higher just to add that extra commission to this agent. No, the price is the same as if you go online and you book it yourself.
Yep.
The same price. It's not changed at all.
We did have a couple one time that came back from the trip, and I followed up to get some feedback. And she said, I don't even know why we needed a travel agent. Okay, I said, well, you did have initial savings in the beginning because you booked with us that weekend. The vendor gave you a certain amount off, so you did have savings. If you didn't think you didn't need us, that's because you had no hiccups with your trip. I mean, their trip was perfect. Okay, that's awesome. And then the third thing, well, you supported a small business. And that's always appreciative, just to do that, especially a veteran-owned business. Some people want to do that. So that would be part of my information to relay to people on why you might, just any small business, if you can utilize them, and we do that often ourselves. Do that if you can.
Right.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
Even if it's just slightly a little bit more, because now you're putting food, you're helping a family to survive and to support their household. And so even I wouldn't say like this much more, but if it's a little bit more, why not support a local business? I'm all about supporting local. I see we're just about out of time, but I do have one more question, and that is, and I think I already know the answer from the conversation, but somebody that's getting ready to separate or retire in 3 to 5 years, what, like 1 minute, what is some advice you would give them prior to getting out?
Well, one that I mentioned earlier, look at your savings. What do you have to sustain yourself for 6 months to a year after that separation or retirement? Take advantage of all the programs that military branch of service offers you. Like we went through the transition assistance program, a wealth of information. Whether you think you may need it or not, you may need it down the road. So take advantage of all that education, all those classes. Talk to people who have done it. What's their advice? And also there are organizations out there. What was the one that we went to? Like the Veterans Assistance. If you're going to apply for disability, that's a nonprofit, but they'll sit down with you in your medical records if you're going to apply, whether you're separating or retired. There may be some disability that you have coming. Make sure all that is accurate. So around every installation, there's going to be a nonprofit that can help you with that. So
it depends on the state whether you live in. Some states are more pro-military than others. Here in Texas, is pretty high pro-military, so they offer additional services and things like that for military. They're retiring and transitioning to civilian life. The other thing, my last recommendation on this case would be to think about what you like to do when you retire. Mm-hmm. Know what you need to do to pay the bills. Like, one thing I thought the same thing when I retired. I tried to get a government job, and I did that for a few years. And to be honest, I was miserable. I could not stand going to work and going, and I hated it to death. So I decided and I quit. I quit a very good GS job because it was killing me. It was not satisfying me.
Your health is most important.
Yeah, so I said, forget that.
And pursue your passion.
Yeah, pursue
your passion.
Yeah, that's my advice.
I love that. And I think that's a perfect place to end is pursue your plan and pursue your passion, because that really is what it's all about. So if you are currently serving, thank you so much for your service. Even if you are the spouse of somebody serving, you're serving too, and we thank you for your service. If you have a business, please reach out to me. I'd love to possibly highlight you on a Military Mondays. This is the 198th episode that I have done. So we're coming up on the 200 episode anniversary. So tune in a few weeks for a very special guest on my 200th anniversary. And please reach out to Sheila and Reese if you've got any travel questions, or you're getting ready to separate, or maybe you're a military couple and you're just like pulling your hair out trying to figure out how to do it as a joint spouse. I'm sure that they would be willing to have a conversation with you. Yes. So with that, thank you so much, Sheila and Reese, for being on. I appreciate you taking time out on a Monday morning. And if you found value in this, please hit the like and the share button below so that we can get the word out about Sheila and Reese's business. And even if you didn't find value, although I don't know how you couldn't find value in that interview, but even if you didn't, do me a favor and like and share it, because somebody else needs to hear this story, this message. So with that, thank you everyone for tuning in today. I will see you next Monday from Hawaii on Military Mondays. So with that, it will be a little bit later because it's going to be 8 a.m. Hawaii time instead of Mountain Time, because I love you all, but I'm not getting up that early to do a Military Mondays. So see you next week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.